Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. A rarity for Cowboys, RB by committee with Ezekiel Elliott. The Dallas Cowboys' past is littered with some of the best running backs in NFL history, or at least runners with historical seasons. Emmitt Smith is the NFL's all-time leading rusher and a Hall of Famer. Tony Dorsett is also a Hall of Famer. In 2014, DeMarco Murray set the franchise single-season record with 1,845 yards and was named the Offensive Player of the Year. Ezekiel Elliott won 2 NFL rushing titles, 2016, 2018, in his first 3 seasons. Herschel Walker went from the USFL to the Cowboys' best running back before being traded to the Minnesota Vikings in a deal that helped deliver 3 Super Bowl wins in the 1990s. For other backs, including Tony Pollard in 2022 and 2023, have had 1,000-yard seasons. They even had a running back make the Pro Bowl without a 1,000-yard season or starting a game, Marion Barber, 2007. With a running back by committee approach this season, the Cowboys' ground game projects to look different than nearly any other since the 16-game season was introduced in 1978. The Cowboys do not anticipate featuring one back in 2024, like they did with Smith, who had more than 300 carries in a season 7 times during his tenure in Dallas, and Elliott, who had more than 300 carries in 3 of his first 4 seasons and would have had a 4th if not for a suspension. It might not even look like the 1-2 combo Elliott and Pollard presented in 2021 and 2022. The last time the Cowboys had 3 running backs with more than 80 carries in a season was 1980 with Dorsett, 278, Robert Newhouse, 118, and Ron Springs, 89. In 1978, 3 running backs had more than 70 carries, Dorsett, 290, Newhouse, 140, and Scott Laidlaw, 75. For time since 1978 they had 3 running backs with more than 60 carries in a season, with the most recent coming in 2010 with Felix Jones, 185, Barber, 113, and Tashard Choice, 66. This offseason they re-signed Elliott and added Royce Freeman to a group that included Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, Hunter Luepke, Malik Davis, and Snoop Connor before the draft. They did not draft a running back, adding Nathaniel Pete as an undrafted free agent. 2 or 3 backs, whatever it takes, Coach Mike McCarthy said. McCarthy referenced the effects of a 17-game regular season and the toll it takes on a runner. "I think you have to pay attention," he said. "Whether it's 2 or whether it's 3, frankly, to be honest with you, the players will determine that." Elliott has the best credentials with 8,904 career rushing yards, but he will not be asked to do what he did in his first stint with the Cowboys, when he averaged 268.7 carries per season. In his lone campaign with the New England Patriots, 2023, he split the work with Ramondre Stevenson, taking over as the starter in the final 5 games. He finished with 642 yards and 3 touchdowns on 184 carries, all career lows. "I think I still am a dominant guy," Elliott said. Good news for Cowboys quarterback gives hope for Zach Wilson with Broncos. The Denver Broncos took a chance on quarterback Zach Wilson in the 2024 offseason, striking a trade with the New York Jets. Wilson was the 2nd overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, which wasn't that long ago even though it feels like an eternity in football terms. Wilson is entering the final year of his rookie contract in Denver, and that would make it seem like he's under a ton of pressure to perform immediately. But his progression under head coach Sean Payton and quarterbacks coach Davis Webb shouldn't be expected to be immediate. Although it could be. More likely, if Wilson is going to right the ship in Denver, it's going to take some time. Perhaps Wilson can draw some inspiration from the situation of Trey Lance with the Dallas Cowboys. Lance was taken just 1 pick behind Zach Wilson in that 2021 NFL draft class, a draft that was extremely hyped for its quarterback depth. There were 5 quarterbacks selected in the top 15 that year, and only one of them, Trevor Lawrence, remains with the team that drafted him. Wilson is the most recent member of that 2021 NFL draft class to be traded, while Trey Lance got a year head start on everyone else. Lance was traded to the Dallas Cowboys last offseason for a 4th-round pick and wasn't even the backup quarterback to Dak Prescott throughout last season. Heck, Mike McCarthy didn't even draw up any plays to get Lance involved as an offensive weapon and utilize his running skills. The Cowboys have been completely focused on rehabilitating Lance as a quarterback prospect, and it appears there is starting to be some fruit from those efforts. Mastery of an offensive system takes time. It's why folks shouldn't be too quick to write off Broncos' first-round pick Bo Nix this year, depending on how things go. Not only is it tough to master an NFL offense, but then you have to be able to go out there and execute, making the right decisions in real time. Talent is only part of the equation, and Zach Wilson has been finding that out the hard way along with most of the rest of his 2021 NFL draft classmates. Reports out of Dallas indicate that Lance is out there making confident decisions and that Lance is in a much better place overall. Team reporters have taken note of Lance's renewed confidence. Lance himself has admitted to being in a different place mentally, physically, and spiritually this offseason. Cowboys push to trade hybrid 25-year-old former starter. The Dallas Cowboys should consider trading one young key starter, says one analyst. As part of Gary Davenport of Bleacher Report's list of players that each team should consider trading, Cowboys safety/linebacker Marquise Bell is considered the player that Dallas should trade before the 2024 season. Bell, who began his career as a safety, converted to linebacker last season and ended up starting 12 games while racking up 94 tackles, ranking 2nd on the team in the category. However, Davenport argues that the 25-year-old was exposed in the team's 48-32 playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers. The defensive unit allowed 415 total yards and 143 rushing yards in the loss, the 3rd highest totals allowed in a single game by the Cowboys all season long. Bell played in all 17 games, making 8 starts and tallying 94 total tackles, writes Davenport. But in the Cowboys' playoff loss to the Packers, Bell's size and lack of experience were both exposed by a Green Bay team that gashed Dallas on the ground. Although Bell played 61% of the defensive snaps last season, there isn't a clear path to playing time for the third-year player this season. Outside of the argument that Bell was exposed in the team's playoff loss to the Packers, he projects as a backup as he converts back to his natural position of safety. Veterans Donovan Wilson, member of the Cowboys since 2019, and Malik Hooker, member of Dallas since 2021 season, are penciled in as the starters at safety this season. With that position shored up, the Cowboys plan to move Bell back to his more natural position of safety, writes Davenport. But even with Jaron Kearse gone, Dallas still has a pair of established starters in Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. There may not be a clear path to significant playing time for Bell with the Cowboys. Over the course of the entire 2023 season, Bell actually had a very productive campaign. According to Pro Football Focus, Bell posted a 79.9 defensive grade and 87.6 grade in coverage. As noted by Todd Brock of Cowboys Wire, those grades ranked him among the very best among all linebackers. He did well, logging a top 10 defensive snap count and racking up 94 tackles to finish 2nd on the team while lining up primarily at backer, writes Brock. He also added 4 passes defended, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 forced fumbles, ending up with a top 20 PFF grade and a coverage score that made him 5th best among all linebackers. However, Bell's inexperience at linebacker and his small frame, he's 205 pounds, ended up showing later on in the season as the Cowboys started getting gashed in the run game. Davenport mentions the Washington Commanders, who are now coached by former Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, as a possible trade destination. But there are several NFL teams that could have a use for Bell's versatility as a hybrid player, including former Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, who is now the head coach for the Washington Commanders, writes Davenport. Trading a key defensive player to a division rival for the sake of unloading him is never a good idea. While Bell doesn't project as a starter this season, he would be the next man up at safety if either Wilson or Hooker are injured. The fact that he already experiences as a starter and is playing on an undrafted free agent salary of under $1 million this season gives the Cowboys little reason to move on from Bell. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Marquise Bell? Leave your opinion in the comments.